The Joy Perspective, the podcast where I share life's challenges, things I've learned through years of personal development, and help others shift their perspective and find their joy. I'm Lauren Valdez, and together we'll dive into how changing the way we think can unlock possibilities, spark creativity, and transform the everyday. Let's dive in.
Welcome to today's episode of The Joy Perspective. Today, we're talking about something that I'm super excited about, super passionate about, and honestly, something I really felt heavy on my heart this week. And that's about being kind and being of service to others, and not letting the world tell you when you've done enough or when you've been too much or, oh, you're good, girl. It's not about other people telling you when you've done too much or when you've poured into other people too much. And I want to give you a very practical way of how you can know where your boundaries should be. In giving to others, in serving to others, there is a very practical way of knowing whether or not you're doing it out of guilt or obligation versus out of the kindness of your heart and the joy that it brings you. So let's dive in. The first thing that really comes to mind is, I could go through scenarios. I can go through very specific, one I'll probably bring up in a little bit, but I could go through examples and examples and examples of when people tell you, like, you're good, you don't have to do any much, you already do too much. Oh, but the reality is it comes down to you and your heart, your kindness, your joy. Now, I believe we have been put on this earth to love the Lord, to serve others, and to really be of service. I do. I also find so much joy in being able to lend a helping hand, being able to step in where someone needs me. And, I've always heard people say, like, I always knew I could count on you. I always knew I could call you. Or I always know if there's ever an emergency, who I can call and depend on. And I love that people know they can depend on me. But the biggest thing I hear in this is the kindness in my heart. And that is something that I want to talk about today, because if you, both sides, if you have that kind giving heart, or maybe you don't have that kind giving heart and you feel like, man, I wish I was able to give more. I wish I felt compelled to give more like some other people. This conversation is really for you. It's for both sides of people here. Now, somewhere along the lines, kindness became confused with overextending. People think those who are kind and giving are overextending. And the difference between being kind and being overextended, it comes down to your why. Why are you doing it? Are you doing it because you are able and you are capable, and why not pour into these kiddos? For example, my kiddos are in soccer, and I didn't play soccer, you guys, but did I get ref certified? Yes. Why? Because my kiddos show up to practice and get coached on a skill that they love to play. Then they go to the games on the weekends and they get to play the games and have so much fun. And I get the joy and privilege of watching them be so filled with joy in their sport. And so a piece of this that I can give back, a piece of this that I can help others, is by getting ref certified. So I got ref certified. I learned the rules of the game. I'm, not the top-notch ref coaching or reffing the 14U games, but I have learned and I've taken the time to learn the rules, to learn how to make the calls, to do the things. Still learning, right? You're constantly learning. But one weekend, my husband and I, we decided that we weren't just going to ref for my daughter's game and my son's game, but we also picked up an extra game and gave some ref points to another team. And then we refed for my son's former coach and got him some points too. So we refed 4 games. The next weekend rolls around. We ended up reffing 5 games, you guys. And now we heard comments from people who I know where they're coming from. I know they're coming from a place of love and joy and wanting to protect us. But when we hear comments like, you guys do too much, it almost feels like they're trying to steal a joy that we were able to give back to these teams. They were able to have a certified ref who knew the rules of the game. They were able to gain points for the game. The point is, we gave from a place of joy. We gave from a place of wanting to do it. And here we had people who were like, "Oh, you don't need to do that. You're doing too much, or you're whatever." And the reality is, it's not up to them. It's not up to other people, the kindness and the joy that you show others. It's up to you. So let's dive into how you know when you are doing too much. Because you guys, I work full time. I have side businesses. I ref my kids' soccer games. Team mom for one of them. Oh my goodness, I'm sure there's more. I have my podcast. Like we have a lot on our plates. But we give because we can, and it brings us joy. So I want to talk about your intentions behind why you do something. And sometimes it gets a little blurry. But here's an example. If you want to do something, or here's a process you could do. If you want to do something, I want you to ask yourself, am I doing this out of obligation, which will lead to resentment? Or am I doing this because I am able, capable, and willing, wanting to do something? So the two things you can ask yourself is, will this bring me joy? Or will this bring me resentment? And those are two things that it seems like resentment seems so harsh. It seems so intense. But the reality is, if you're doing something out of obligation, and in life, we have to do some things out of obligation, right? I'm obligated to pay my mortgage, even though I don't want to. But when it comes from a kind, giving heart, you have to ask yourself, is this going to bring me joy? Or is this going to bring me resentment? And I witnessed somebody try to shut down a friend and tell them no, you're fine. Just sit down, just relax, enjoy the game. You don't have to. And I felt so defensive and I felt so angry that this person was trying to tell my friend not to do what she had already said. Hey, if we need a ref, I'll do it, right? And I wish in that moment I could have been like, you know what? This is her decision. Would this bring you joy to do, or do you not want to do this? Maybe I wouldn't have used the word resentment in that moment, but I wish I had those words in that moment, because I know my friend. I know she loves to give. I know if there's a need, she will try to find a way to fit that need. It brings her joy. She loves to pour. She makes little keychains when she was coaching cheer, these little keychains, and went above and beyond an extra because that's what brings her joy. And so to see someone who interrupted and was like, no, girl, just sit down. You're good. When we've already previously discussed that if there's a need for it, she would love to step in and help or would be willing to help. I wish I had the words to be like, would this bring you joy or would this bring you resentment? Because if it's going to bring you resentment, sit down. We'll figure out something else, right? Slight tangent there. Let me get back on track with when it comes to you and whether or not you want to do something, don't let somebody else be the determining factor. Don't let somebody else put their pressures. Stand up firm and strong. And when somebody goes, girl, you do too much, I get to say, no. I get the privilege of reffing 5 games to pour back to our kiddos. Because it does bring me joy. It does. And so you get to ask yourself in any of these situations, is it going to give me resentment or is it going to give me joy? We give or should give from a heart of overflow, from a heart of excitement and joy. When we talk about obligations, that's a different story, right? We're obligated to do certain things in life. We're obligated to cook dinner even if we don't like cooking because our kiddos need to be fed. So here is a little question that I'm going to keep in the back of my pocket, and I hope you do too. It's, can I give this joyfully or will it cost me my peace? Can I give this joyfully, or will it cost me my peace? Because if it's going to cost you your peace, you found a boundary. You found a limit for you. And we'll dive deeper into boundaries. But for today, I just want to leave you with this. Be kind, be of service, but don't hand somebody else the power to tell you when you've done enough. You know your limits. Trust them. Trust yourself. Because protecting your energy is protecting your ability to love. And knowing when I can give joyfully or when it's going to cost your peace.
Thank you for joining me today on The Joy Perspective. I hope this episode helped you shift your mindset and find a little bit more joy in your life. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe so you never miss one. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram at @Lauren_Valdez for more inspiration and updates. I'd love to hear your thoughts and connect with you. Until next time, keep shifting your perspective and finding your joy.